have 2 good engine starts, you're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pit. Thanks a lot. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In one of my previous videos, you would have probably seen me dogfight my friend who is a real active NATO fighter pilot, and we were using the flanker with thrust vectoring, and in fact he's the guy that's about to pop up on my HUD right now. We did a few dogfights in the Su-30 with the new flight model that's going to become available in a future update for the codename Flanker mod. And what we've discovered is that the Su-30, well, A, is unbelievably fun, but B, it's just an incredible nose-pointing machine, as is expected if you were to watch some of the airshow displays from real life. However, today we are going to find out if it is possible to defeat an Su-30 with its thrust vectoring with a conventional 4th generation fighter. So first of all, my fighter pilot friend is going to jump into the F-18 and F-16 and give it his best go, see if he can defeat me in the Su-30SM, and after that we're going to switch places. I'm going to jump into the F-18 and see if I can beat my friend when he's flying the flanker. Okay, so the first fight, 45 seconds in, a couple of turns, and I slot in right in behind my friend who's currently flying the F-18 Hornet, and he's getting a little slow here, which is not ideal. I'm trying to manage my closure rate. I get off the thrust, and look what happens. I lose my ability to nose point because I no longer have thrust vectoring, because if you don't have thrust going into the engines, you don't have thrust vectoring. So an interesting effect there, something a little bit unique and different about the flanker. To manage your closure rate, you should really use maybe a sort of loaded roll or something, and not quite the conventional way of reducing thrust. Nonetheless, it doesn't really matter too much. Back on the thrust, get in behind him. He's slow, he's totally out of options, totally out of ideas. I'm totally dominating here, although missing most of my shots because can't currently lock anybody up with the flanker because the air-to-air version is broken. Okay, round 2 went much the same way as round 1, except... Whoops.
Перегрузка предельная.
Alright, round 3, here we go.
Перегрузка предельная.
Rita telling us that we have reached maximum G, which is pretty high in the flanker, so can definitely compete with the F-16, although definitely can't be outrated by an F-16, although as you'll find out, as my friend's about to find out, as I think he was slightly misled by the idea of being able to outrate me in the F-16. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to outrate. Well, you can try.
Перегрузка предельная.
The reason it won't really matter is because the flanker can stay inside your turning circle. The advantage that the F-16 has is definitely speed and acceleration, and if he was to literally point his nose onto the horizon and fly away, there wouldn't be very much I could do about it. So obviously maybe not a particularly realistic scenario in real life. Nonetheless,
Перегрузка предельная.
Something you could do if you knew the guy behind you doesn't have any missiles.
Опасная высота.
So we're getting low here. My friend's also getting a little bit slow, as you can see, and I'm just coming in. I take a shot. I actually hit him on that one, some debris flying off.
Перегрузка предельная.
So that was a really nice, accurate shot. And we're coming for another little go here as well. He's getting slow. Hit him on that one as well. So he's definitely damaged at this point, and he's getting slow. The nose of the flanker is quite sluggish to react. I have complained to the devs about that a little bit. They need to improve the responsiveness. Alright, round 4, we come into the merge, and I lose him. No idea where he is at this point. The F-16 is so damn small, so I've skipped about 45 seconds of me doing loops and barrel rolls, where I just picked him up now, and unbeknown to me, by this point, he's already taken one shot at me, which I haven't seen because the F-16 is using tracerless ammo, so I was extremely lucky to get away with that. Out of all the fights we've done so far, that was the only occasion in which he's managed to point his nose at me to take a shot. At no other point has he managed to do so, especially when I was visual with him or tally with him. So here he's also under the illusion that he's going to be able to outrate me now that he's only got 60% fuel and no pylons. This is basically an airshow display jet. Call it a Thunderbirds jet that I'm fighting. And once again, he's thinking that he can outrate me, and the truth is he can. He definitely can, but does it matter? No, not really, because I'll just stay right in the middle of his turning circle and just nose point him all day long. One thing he could have maybe used is use his advantage in speed and acceleration to outclimb me in the vertical and swoop in on top of me, kind of like a boom and zoom tactic from World War II, maybe. But he decides not to do that. He decides to fight in a more conventional way. And I think pretty quickly realizes that the rating thing is just not a thing. It's not a thing against the flanker with thrust vectoring. I'll just stay inside his turning circle all day long. So we're ending up in a very similar situation as we did in the previous fight, where now he's bleeding his energy a little bit and he's having to jink a little bit because he knows that I'm right behind him. Now, one thing he could have done there is actually flown straight towards the sun, but I guess he was too busy looking behind him just to see where I was, because you could tell I totally lost him in the sun there. And I finally get a good shot and blow his wing off. Alright, best to last. Finally, merging with the Su-30MKA, piloted by my friend who's a real fighter pilot. I'm on the F-18 now, and I have a game plan in my head. I've flown the Su-30 a fair amount more than my friend, so I know a few strengths and weaknesses that thing has. And when I say weaknesses, there are few and far between. So I'm already thinking I am not going to be able to beat him in a slow speed fight, but I need to cause enough of an opportunity where I can pull my nose onto him and take the shot. So this is what I'm thinking. I have lots of energy at this point, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to trade it all in, and I need to take the shot. That is the only way. You have to gamble. Now, he makes a BFM error. He actually turns away from me. In any other jet, that could have been fatal. In the Su-30, not so much. I am really out of energy at this point. I knew this was going to happen if I wasn't going to be able to shoot him on that first one. And we are now stuck into what is effectively a descending spiral, and I know I'm not going to win this fight. He's actually quite careful not to trade all his energy in, but I'm looking at this cloud below me, and I know this is going to be my plan B, or my way out of this mess, because eventually I am going to lose. So as soon as he loses sight, or I think he's lost sight, I reverse it and go the opposite direction. It takes him a little while to follow, so I was hoping that would create enough of an opportunity, and here I'm just trying to cause that overshoot, which is what he does. He's got his full burner on, and again, that's just so he can maintain that thrust vectoring. Otherwise, he's going to run out of the ability to nose point if he kills the thrust and manages his closure. Now, I was pretty lucky. It's very sluggish to nose point at slow speed on the flanker, partly because it's just too slow to respond. I think it's a limitation of the flight model, something that they need to improve, which I've already spoken to the developers about, and I think they are going to improve that in the future. So as you can see, I've pointed my nose away from him. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to compete with him in that slow speed regime. So and I also know that I can out accelerate him, and it does seem like that is exactly what's happening just looking at him behind me. Obviously, it's quite difficult to tell. Later on in Trackir, I realized that I really did have a big speed advantage. So I'm now trying something a little bit different. I'm trying to bleed his energy out as much as possible and then do a boom and zoom tactic, dive in on top of him. Now, what I didn't realize is that I should have kept going for a little bit longer. And because I wasn't straight in the vertical, I gave him a bit of an opportunity here. Just to come and cut me off slightly, and I ran out of airspeed, so I realized that plan just wasn't going to work. I think in theory it may have, but there was just no way. There was just no way in this particular occasion. So I'm now thinking once again, I don't want to get into a slow speed situation with him, so I need to jink and once again increase the gap and then cause some kind of overshoot or something. Once again, you have to be super aggressive, and you have to have a little bit of airspeed on your side before you do any kind of energy excursion or any kind of aggressive maneuver to try and cause him to overshoot. So that is my plan. Basically, always accelerate, create an opportunity, accelerate, create an opportunity. So far, the first one was pretty close. The second one, maybe not so much. Anybody who wants to complain about me using the paddle in the F-18, you guys can honestly just go to a place and be quiet. I'm sorry. There is just no way. No rules apply when you're fighting a thrust vectoring flanker. So once again, my third opportunity, just miss him there. So annoying. I was so frustrated with that. I felt like there was definitely a way. But unfortunately, you're always going to be at a disadvantage against a thrust vectored flanker. Now, whether or not that's exactly the same in real life, probably not, because there's definitely some flight model issues with the one in DCS, although I think they've made thrust vectoring feel relatively believable. And as you can see here, I'm sort of running out of options a little bit because we're so close to the ground. I can't really point my nose away and run away to gain the speed quickly. So at this point, I think he comes in, and unfortunately, I don't see it, but he takes a shot and he actually kills the pilot, and I'm dead. So I hope you all have enjoyed those fights. Clearly at this point the Su-30 is undefeated, and we will try again in the future, especially as new flight model updates come out, and try again and see if we can finally beat the thrust vectoring monster. And before you go, make sure to check out my previous video with me dogfighting my friend in the MiG-29 versus F-15. This was much more of a tactical chess game compared to the twirls that you get with the Su-30. So if you're interested, make sure to check that out, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Adios!